What's up everyone, welcome back to another What If video. Last time, we looked at a seemingly impossible scenario where Goku becomes possessed by Babidi and becomes Majin instead of Vegeta. By drawing out Goku's old memories and personality as Kakarot, which were seemingly lost because of his head injury, Goku is able to become a Majin now because Babidi exposes this latent side of him. And this new self-called Majin Kakarot has no real goal besides avenging his brother and his Saiyan race. However, his plan was cut short when Buu was awoken, and Kakarot had to intervene. We left off with him wrapping his arms around Buu and self-destructing, similarly to Vegeta, but doing so in his Super Saiyan 3 form with the Majin boost and focusing all of his energy into Buu. I left a poll trying to see if you guys thought this would be enough to kill Buu, and sure enough, the majority voted that it would work. So let's continue from here. The dust settles in the area as Piccolo, Krillin, Vegeta, Goten, and Trunks see a crater left behind from the explosion with no trace of Buu or Goku in sight. They couldn't sense any energy either. The explosion was so powerful that it was more than enough to destroy Buu completely, even with his regeneration. And since Goku was resurrected by Babidi in the last part, he does return back to the Afterlife now, dead once again, while Buu has been vaporized alongside him. But there's still one minuscule power that they sense: Babidi. Babidi is cursing to himself as his plan failed. Deborah is gone, Buu is gone, and his new Majin servant is gone. He cowers in fear as he's suddenly surrounded by Piccolo, Vegeta, and Krillin that look down in contempt. "Allow me," Vegeta says as he kicks Babidi in one swift motion, taking his head clean off. Well, what now? There's nothing really to do except to revive those that Goku has killed, so the group heads off to collect the Dragon Balls and revive everyone who died, including Kibito and Gohan. Surprisingly, the wish doesn't revive Gohan, and now the objective is for everyone to find him since he's probably still alive. Kibito was found to be revived too, and he should eventually end up finding Gohan and healing him, getting a Zenkai in the process. Everybody regroups for now, with Shin and Kibito thanking everyone. Vegeta has a question for them. He wants to know where Goku went. From the little we know about the afterlife, we do know that if you die while you're dead, you just end up ceasing to exist, according to Goku. But like I mentioned before, he was revived, so he didn't die while he was dead. That's kind of redundant, but you know what I mean. Which means his soul is back there. Although his actions were awful, King Yama decides that Goku shouldn't be punished for it, as everything was reversed, and Goku was possessed while it happened, so it wasn't really his fault. And I know Vegeta was punished for the same thing, but also Vegeta actually allowed himself to be possessed, and he didn't really care about the repercussions, while Goku was possessed against his will completely, and everything was still reversed, so it doesn't really make a difference in the end. And Goku did sacrifice himself to save the Earth and everyone, so that kinda makes up for what he did anyways. While back in the other world with King Kai, he notices a change in Goku. He's not a Majin anymore, obviously, and he's still like his normal self, but he seems a little more serious. For the first time, we actually got to see Goku embrace his Saiyan side, even if it was in a bad way. This side obviously doesn't influence his personality too much, but now he remembers it, and the trouble it caused, and he's not completely in the dark about his past anymore. The time as Kakarot actually made him curious about his past, and kind of regretful for killing his brother, something he never really thought about. Of course, it was the right thing to do, and they really had no other choice. But still, being Kakarot made him remember the fact that he helped kill someone from his own family. This gets him wondering. I mean, while he's here in the afterlife, he wants to see if anyone else from his family is actually in the afterlife as well. He's been able to recount memories he's had as a child, where he was sent away and his parents asked him not to forget them. All this time, he failed to do that. Maybe he can get some closure about his life as Kakarot, if he meets his family. King Kai is obviously a little hesitant for Goku to do this, but Goku's in luck. Kinda. Raditz we know for sure is probably in hell, and Bardock may have had a chance of redemption at the end of his life, but he still lived his life prior to that as any other Saiyan would, so I don't think he's really any better off than Raditz, just because he saved his son. He's most likely in hell as well. However, there's still one member of Goku's family that is probably in Otherworld, Gine. From what we know and have seen about her, she's not bad at all and obviously wasn't a fighting Saiyan, so she really has no reason to be in hell. Unlike a lot of other Saiyans, she actually showed some sort of sympathy and kind of human emotions. So along with her not living that violent Saiyan lifestyle, she's actually a good person overall. Goku is actually able to find her and meet her, much to her happiness since she could finally see her son after all this time, and that he didn't forget her. Yeah, he didn't forget her. She doesn't know about the whole amnesia thing. But for now, there is still some awkwardness that comes out of the reunion because she knows what happens with Raditz after Goku recounts it. But nonetheless, it's good for him. He wonders though if he can get back down to Hell and meet his father and reunite with his brother too, just for some more closure. And while the only times we've really seen him in Hell are in Filler or in Fusion Reborn, which are both non-canon, it doesn't sound too out of the ordinary that Goku would still be able to travel between these two realms. Back on Earth, time passes during the few years before Battle of Gods, with things pretty normal except for Goku not being around, obviously. Vegeta is still training, of course, and for Gohan, if you've seen my series about Gohan training after Buu, which you can see linked at the top of this video, it's a little similar to that, but not entirely. He starts to train a little more, but not a huge amount. Given that Goku is gone and Gohan is still one of the strongest people around, he decides to heed Vegeta's advice and start training more. Another big difference is that he doesn't have his ultimate form, since he never went to the planet of the Kais, so for now he's about the same power as Vegeta, both in Super Saiyan 2. And since Vegeta is really the strongest person around other than himself, Gohan and Vegeta actually start to train a little bit together, just because he wants to take Vegeta's advice now, and maybe Vegeta could be a nice tutor for him. It's weird because he doesn't really know Vegeta that well, as you expect, but it's a good opportunity for them to bond and actually get to know each other a little bit more. Vegeta has been around all this time, and obviously Gohan knows how he is as a person, but they don't really have that big of a personal connection, so this will be a nice opportunity for them to grow it. He obviously does still focus on his education, and now his new family now that he's with Videl, so he's still not primarily focused on training. It's more that he knows he's one of the last lines of defense for everyone, so he has to take it more seriously than he ever did. Far away, Beerus wakes up after having a dream about a Super Saiyan God as his rival, and decides to search him out. He ends up on King Kai's planet, where Goku is training with King Kai as usual. He's been dead this whole time, so Goku has been able to use Super Saiyan 3 more, and has been doing nothing but training, since he has nothing else to do and he doesn't need to sleep. He ends up fighting against Beerus, and actually takes a couple hits before being knocked down. He's still no challenge against Beerus, but he does a little better than he does originally. Beerus then heads down to Earth to seek out the other Saiyans, with the events going similar to normal. Goku asks to return to the planet for 24 hours like last time, but that request is denied. I mean, he was already lucky enough to keep his body in the afterlife and remain in Otherworld after what happened when he was last on Earth, so he won't get that same special permission this time, even if it wasn't his fault. They've showed too much leniency to Goku, and they don't want anything else going wrong, so he doesn't get to do this time. For now, all he could do is watch what happens with King Kai. Beerus doesn't get upset because there's no Boo and no Pudding fiasco, but he still is a little irritated because he challenges people like Vegeta and Gohan, and they're no match for him. They don't really have the power that he expected of a Super Saiyan God. Eventually, the idea of asking Shenron about the Super Saiyan God is brought up, so the Dragon Balls are gathered and they find out about the ritual, but they're short a few Saiyans. Videl does reveal that she's pregnant, and they try the ritual on Vegeta since he's the best suited, but it doesn't work and they realize they need 6 Saiyans, not just 5. Beerus is intrigued by this and he suggests Goku, but then he remembers he's dead and he can't actually be here, so he turns to Whis for a favor. Whis abides, and he disappears for a brief moment, and he returns with Goku, whom he taps on the head and then his halo disappears. Goku's alive again. That was pretty easy. The fact that this just happened out of nowhere obviously surprises everyone, and they're glad to see Goku's back, but they can't spend time with the reunion and they have to get on with the ritual. Goku has seen what's been going on and already knows what's happening, and he joins in on the ritual. They prepare to give the power to him, but Goku stops everyone and says that Vegeta should be the first to become a Super Saiyan God. He was originally going to become it anyways, and he doesn't want to take this moment from Vegeta. Besides, even with all the training Goku's been doing, he doesn't have the advantage of all the energy he did in the afterlife, and didn't have the same amount of time he did after the Buu arc to adjust being back in the real world, with the difference between how energy works in the living world and the afterlife. Having been dead so long and only alive under his own control for a brief amount of time, he doesn't know what kind of power he could handle in the living world at the level he's at now. So Vegeta ends up becoming the Super Saiyan God, and he gives Beerus a pretty good fight. I'll spare you the details, but it's pretty much the same as it was in the original. Some months pass before the two Saiyans go to Beerus' planet to train, but Goku remembers something that he wanted to do after his time in the afterlife. He has somewhat of a crazy idea, but after his experience as Kakarot and getting his memories back, as well as the fact that he's kind of regretful for completely forgetting about his family, he wants to do something. While Bardock and Raditz may have been in Hell, he was still able to occasionally access that realm and visit them a few times, not to mention obviously being around Yine pretty often. And while his encounters with Raditz were a little weird, Bardock was happy to see him, as well as being elated to hear that not only did Goku stand up against Prince Vegeta, but he also was the one to defeat Lord Frieza, as well as becoming the Super Saiyan of legend. When Shenron was summoned earlier, he only granted one wish, so the Dragon Balls would be active again after a few months had passed, rather than a whole year. And now some time has passed, so it's around time that the Dragon Balls start working again. Goku returns to Earth briefly and gathers the Dragon Balls himself and then summons Shenron. He can't revive a group of people that have been dead for over a year, but he can revive individual people that have been dead that long. It would just mean all 3 wishes would be used for that, and he'd have to bring them to Earth manually. Not too big of a deal for him with instant transmission. Goku first wishes for Guinea, then Bardock, then Raditz to be resurrected. After his time in the Afterlife and having his memories of his family come back, along with the fact that his Goku side and his Kakarot side were remorseful for killing Raditz, he wants to bring them back. He ends up using instant transmission to get them back, which I'm just now realizing is pretty weird since he has such easy access to these places that he shouldn't have access to, kinda like how in the Cell Saga he just is able to teleport to King Kai's planet. I mean, I know weirder stuff has happened in Dragon Ball, but I find that pretty funny that he's able to access these sort of godly places with such ease. Anyways, he does this quickly to retrieve his family members and bring them back to Earth. The situation ends up a little odd, since they weren't really expecting it, and it's fine for him to bring back Guinea and Bardock, but Raditz is actually reacting kinda different to them, since Goku was the one who helped kill him in the first place, as well as the fact that Kakarot was actually able to surpass him, and Raditz still has the same Saiyan mindset as before. But this reunion and all the potential squabbles will be saved for the next part. Now that his family is back, what do you think will happen next with the story? How will Guinea and Bardock fit in? Will Goku make amends with his brother? Let me know in the comments below, and as usual, leave a like if you liked the video, and subscribe and hit the bell icon to support this channel and be notified of the rest of this What If and other videos in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next part.